My team and I have been working on Assassin's Creed since Assassin's Creed Brotherhood. For us, we love to bring innovation into Assassin's Creed. So this is really in our DNA. And when we look at different periods that we could approach, for us, the more modern times offered us tons of opportunities to bring our spirit of innovation to the Assassin's Creed brand, which is why we chose London of 1868. So Jacob and Evie each represent two different, they're twins, but they're different characters. Jacob is we call him the younger of the two, even though they're twins, but because Evie likes to remind him that she's the oldest one of the two, the more responsible one. Jacob tackles every situation head on, without thinking. Evie represents the other side. She's more strategic, more restrained. She thinks before she acts. So it's gonna be fun for our players to see those two characters evolve and meet somewhat in the middle. For me, having those two characters will set Assassin's Creed Syndicate apart. Having the rope launcher, we have guns as well now, so a good revolver, and it changes the way you approach many situations in gameplay. We've invested a lot on having carriages, having systemic vehicles, and this has changed the way we thought about building the game to make sure that we have a good city layout that feels natural for players. And what we're witnessing in playtests is that people, instead of fast traveling from one point to another in the city, they embark on a vehicle and they lose kind of track of time and just see the different activities and opportunities because it's something that feels natural for them to do.
You're a bully, Mr. Strain. And I find I'm not overly fond of bullies.
Every new day holds a promise. You can waste it, or spend it advancing yourself.
When Mirror's Edge first came out, it was trying something really new, and I think people maybe weren't quite ready for it. Are they ready for it now?
I really hope they are. I think it's such a strong universe, it's such a strong heroine, and such a great world to explore. So really, I think they are now, yeah. We've been getting a great response so far. So
where does this game take place in the timeline? Is it fully rebooting the series?
It's not a prequel to the first game or anything like that. We're building on the foundation of the first game. I mean, it's still about faith. It's still about this big, pristine white city and the corporate surveillance society. We just starting to work on this reboot. We just felt that we had to wipe the slate because we really wanted to do something a bit different and also build that stable foundation that we can just keep building on afterwards. We've worked a lot on our animations and our control scheme. Players of the first game will recognize the movement, but it's just so much smoother, and there's just so much more things you can do once you start investigating, once you start experimenting with the controls and the world and what you can do. And overall, it's a much more freer experience. It's not a linear set of missions that you play in order. There's the whole free roaming element where you can explore and you can choose where to go and what to do.
One thing I really remember from the first game was the use of the color scheme and how that guided you through the environment. How have you evolved that?
The whole following the red, the runner's vision, as we call it, is still a feature in our game. We just had to rebuild it from scratch because, once again, it's not a linear game. So it basically works as a GPS, more or less. You set a location, and this will show you a good way there. Not necessarily the optimal or the best way, but a good way there.
You on the ground now!
Go on, girl. Save us all.
The years are long, but it's always good to see a familiar face.
In Dishonored 2, you can play Emily Kaldwin or Corvo Attano. They both have their completely different set of supernatural powers, and the game takes place in a different city. From minute one on this project, when we started thinking about the sequel to Dishonored, there was just a kind of energy about Emily. Because in the first game, she's a 10-year-old girl, and so what would she grow up like? On one hand, she's like got this privileged background. She's the daughter of the Empress. On the other hand, she went through some real tragedy, and then after that, she was raised by Corvo. So, just from day one, we had that curiosity about her, that excitement about her.
You cover your face, but I know who you are. Emily Kaldwin.
There's a million challenges related to providing two protagonists. A completely different set of animations, different voice parts, different perspectives on the world. He's coming home to Serkonos, that's where he's from. She's going there to this place that she hasn't been as an adult, and she's not used to being on the run the way she is in the game.
An empire at your feet, and you've lost it all.
All of the stealth mechanics will be familiar to Dishonored players, but they're all deepened and extended. Some people were bothered by not being visible when you lean out from things. So now we have settings that allow the player to more customize the experience.
If you kill me, you become the assassin we claimed you were. You become one of us!
It's a tale that talks about how technology advances and what that means on the battlefield and what that means to us as human beings as we integrate technology into our everyday lives, as these soldiers integrate technology into their minds and their bodies. What that could mean, I'm sure nothing bad will happen when that happens, right?
Get out there! Find some cover!
So as you play this game, you're going to be able to choose your path. The kinds of ways you want to upgrade yourself to take on the threats on the battlefield is going to be up to you. And that's really important, because if you're playing co-op, and I've been playing this game for a while, and I've upgraded myself in a particular way, but you want to play with a friend who hasn't progressed as far as you have in the campaign, hasn't upgraded, we want to make it fun for you to go back and play those levels with your friend who hasn't gotten as far and have an entirely different experience. So for example, on the battlefield, we're networked, right? We have a hacker ability. Let's say that you didn't have that earlier on when you were playing earlier levels. Well, now when you play with your friend, if you've upgraded that way, you can go back, replay those same missions in a completely different way than you defeated them the first time.
Thank you. I will not forget this.
You're welcome. We've been making co-op games for a long time with our Zombies mode. We love playing co-op. We love playing with our friends. Being able to bring that into the campaign is awesome. Being able to bring the kind of customization and choice that players get from multiplayer into the campaign as well has been fantastic. Extending customization in the multiplayer with the gunsmith feature, allowing people to create their own version of the weapon that's not just unique cosmetically, but has gameplay benefits that are realized on their weapon is fantastic. Allowing people to paint their own portion of the weapon to make their own unique weapon that no one else in the world will have is awesome. And then you got all kinds of new toys on the battlefield to play with, interact with, to be able to combat the threats of the future.
Get out of there!
Can I pose with you? Is that all right?
Yeah.
Thank you.